What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading. Today we're going to talk about why Bitcoin has been crashing, why it's about to rally to around 117,000, and why altcoins are likely to start rallying hard in the next couple of days. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of the crypto market. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. So I'm sure many of you guys have heard already that the reason why the crypto market has been crashing over the last, 12 hours or so is because there's some big Bitcoin whale, some OG Bitcoin whale that dumped around 24,000 Bitcoin worth 2.7 billion. And this also caused a bunch of long liquidations, I think around 300 or 400 million of long liquidations. So you have basically almost $3 billion of selling pressure directly on the market, plus, 300 million in long liquidations. And of course, that's taken Bitcoin sharply lower. And I guess one kind of quick thing to note on that note is that these Bitcoin whales, it's actually really unusual that they would do this, or that this whale would do this, because normally what Bitcoin whales will do is they will send their Bitcoin to exchanges, and then they will gradually sell it into the pump, right? They don't want to dump the price. Like if you just sell on the spot market, then this is what happens, and you end up with lower profit. So this has resulted in lots of speculation that this whale is purposely manipulating the price, either to help other whales or whoever to get in a little bit lower. Some people think that maybe this whale was shorting, and then they push down the price so that they can make a profit while shorting. But whatever the case, I don't really think it matters too much, because as some of you guys might have heard as well, basically on Friday, the CME, of course, closed with Bitcoin being around $117,200. So what that means is that there's the CME gap, which I'm sure that some of you guys have heard about. Of course, in previous cases, we had CME gaps where Bitcoin would basically crash to the CME gap. Now we have a CME gap where Bitcoin is going to be rallying, most likely in the next couple of days, up to the CME gap of around 117,000 0.2, so 117,240. And again, the CME gap is technically a range. It's not an exact number. So getting somewhere around the 117K range, that's probably going to be it. Don't be waiting around, waiting for some exact, 117,225 or something. It's going to be somewhere in that range. That's why it's called a gap. If it wasn't a range, it would just be called the CME price difference or whatever. Anyways, so this begs the question, of course, how does this fit into the whole kind of like Bitcoin mini cycle thing that I've been tracking for the last while? I guess to quickly recap for those of you who are unfamiliar, a Bitcoin mini cycle is basically this 10 or 11 day period where Bitcoin's price will either go up or go down. And then in between these mini cycles, you have what I've been calling just like a resetting phase or whatever. And as I pointed out in last week's video, what's kind of interesting is that the last mini cycle that we had here was flat. And the last time we saw that, of course, was going into the rally in late 2024. And we also saw a flat mini cycle in early 2024. So of course, that made me think, okay, well, if we're going to see history kind of repeat, then this means that in between this resetting period, which would normally be pretty calm and like quiet, we should start to see a melt up. And of course, it looked like that melt up was starting last Friday, but then over the weekend, there was a little bit of a pullback, and then this whale kind of like causing these liquidations and everything. But again, as we just discussed, guys, the CME gap, and I can't remember what the exact percentage is. It's like 70% or something. Someone in the comments, please let us know what is the percentage of CME gaps that are filled. I know it's something super high. So basically, not that it's guaranteed, but there's a very high chance that Bitcoin will be rallying up to 117,000.2 in the next couple of days here, which in my view would kind of confirm that, yes, it looks like we're going to get a melt up in this resetting phase. And then going into the next mini cycle sometime in early September, I think around September 7th, then this should be an up cycle. And of course, a lot of people are saying, well, like September is going to be a seasonally bad month or whatever. I'm not so sure about that. I will probably do a video about that later this week. But long story short is I just don't see any catalyst coming up that could cause that to happen. I know some people are saying, oh, it's because the Fed's going to raise rates and it'll cause long-term yields to rise. That doesn't seem to be the reason. But again, I'll save that for another video. Point being is that everything seems to be, at least to me, looking pretty fine. I would not get super spooked about the choppy price action over the weekend, especially when you get a Bitcoin whale, apparently purposely dumping the price for whatever reason. We have a CME gap on Bitcoin again at around 117,200. Again, it's probably just going to go somewhere into that range. And of course, that's a pretty sizable pump from this level. And of course, that will carry the rest of the crypto market higher as well. But before we get into the altcoins, guys, I do need to tell you about the Coin Bureau deals page. That's where you'll find the biggest trading fee discounts and deals and bonuses on like the biggest exchanges. We have Binance, we have Bybit. We have Axiom, which is where you can kind of trade meme coins. We have Aaron's Better Traders course here. We have 2bit with 100,000 USDT welcome bonus, up to 100,000, I should say, and OKX with 40% spot trading fee discount. A whole bunch of awesome exchanges and deals here, guys, on wallets, on trading bots, on tax tools, on anything and everything you could need in crypto to succeed. So do check out these deals. They won't be around forever. When you use these deals, they help you out, they help us out, and of course they help out our partners. Moving on now, guys, to altcoins, of course. So I have Ethereum here on the 4-hour chart. I actually think that Ethereum is probably going to hold this Bollinger Band moving average on the 4-hour. Maybe it'll go slightly below, who knows, but there seems to be a lot of support. Of course, Ethereum did rally, had a little bit of another all-time high break here, but we still haven't seen like a confirmation of this break above. We would need to see at least a couple of days above that level. But in my view, like, this still looks like a pretty bullish structure here, and I do think that Ethereum is going to continue heading higher. And also, for those of you who are unfamiliar, in my mind, there's kind of like 3 criteria for altcoin season. The first is that Ethereum needs to get above its previous all-time high, like not just like a wick, but an actual clean break above it. So Ethereum is very close to doing that. Others, which of course measures all the altcoins outside of the top 10 by market cap, others needs to get above 310 billion. Again, we can see that similarly, we saw others like have a couple wicks above, or like even like almost like a close above, but not quite. So others is still looking fine. It still looks like it's going to continue, heading higher and breaking above this level. And then of course, Bitcoin dominance needs to see a clean break below 58%, which, funny enough, like right as I started filming, it was at like 57 point something, and now it's back up to 58%. So we do need to see a clean break again below 58% on Bitcoin dominance, others to break above 310 billion, and for Ethereum to hit a new all-time high and have like an actual all-time high, not just like wicking up there on like the hourly chart or whatever. And once those 3 things happen, I do think that will kind of set the stage for other altcoins to rally. And as you guys can see, this is very close to happening. And again, when you combine this with the CME gap for Bitcoin at around 117,200, what do you think will happen when Bitcoin rallies up to that level? Do you think that Ethereum and everything else is just going to stay put? No, everything else is going to rally. And of course, as we've seen with Bitcoin dominance falling, when Bitcoin rallies, then everything else will probably rally even more. So yeah, long story short, of course, the short-term price action, I'm sure, is spooking a lot of people, but in my mind, it looks completely fine. And with the CME gap kind of acting as a magnet, taking Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market higher, I don't think we have anything to worry about over the next few days. And there's going to be some really interesting catalysts coming up, but we'll cover those step by step as we go along. And I'll address this whole September pullback in a video later this week. And as another thing, I think I'll just mention, just for clarification, I don't think that there's going to be any pullback later this month. This is something I had been mentioning, I think, in a video a couple of weeks back. I don't think there's going to be any pullbacks anymore here in August. I think that we're going to get a rally again to the CME gap, a continuation higher going into early September, and then from there we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, that'll all be discussed in an upcoming video. If you made it this far, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.